What's going on, gamers? We got some interesting news here to cover. So I highlighted three things here, basically coming from Mr. Matt Piscatella himself. And then you have people like spinning stupid headlines like GameSpot, Xbox Fanboys, like Microsoft just had the best month of all time. It's like, you're still in third place. Well, no, you're not in fourth place no more. You're in third place now. You finally outsold the Switch 1 because Nintendo is reducing down the stock they said they were in Europe and in general, and they're focusing more on Switch 2. Like right here, Xbox sales more than doubled in June 2026 in the US, by the way, keyword US, while PlayStation 5 and Switch 2 dropped. Now, guys, here's my thing here with this headline. It is literally, to me, why I'm going to call it a stupid headline is because saying the Switch 2 dropped, and there's some people saying, oh, Switch 2 dropped big time. I was like, it launched last year in the same month. Do you believe you're going to have a better next year month in the month that you officially launched your console? That's where you're going to sell the most at the beginning. So you have like some Black Friday or something, right? So the fact that they says this is misleading, because if you go and read the Nintendo sales, they sold more than PlayStation 5 and Xbox. Daniel down here says, we're gonna get to a couple articles here. Let's get into this, guys. Daniel says, not to be that guy, right? But this is more due to a price increase and supply constraints in the same period last year, plus beating the new price increase this year. Switch 2 drop was due to the comparison with the launch in June 2025. He's intelligent, he's correct. But Switch 2 and PlayStation 5 still sold more overall. Easily. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that big time here. So we see what he just said right here, right? I had to highlight this first because there's a lot of Xbox fanboys trying to glorify this. It's like, that's because of the misleading June showcase, which was absolutely nowhere near as good as you thought it was after seeing all the layoffs and cancellations, right? Forza Horizon launch and Gears of War, a little bit exclusive. So a little spike happened there, but Forza Horizon 5, like I said, plus the showcase gave them a bit of a spike. But after that, it's going to tank down because in August 1st, the Xbox hardware goes up to $800. Nobody's going to buy that, right? You got a spike in America. This is the only place Xbox has ever sold anyways, right? But it's still, I wouldn't say still fourth place. No, you're third place now, right? Let's go back over here and take a look at the numbers right now over here on VG charts. James says it's the Halo, Gears, and Forza year. Plus, you got the announcement of Halo, the announcement of Gears as an exclusive for right now, and Forza as an exclusive right now, plus the Xbox Game Showcase. Nobody knew the price hike was coming or those layoffs before this. So they had a nice 138.9K, but PlayStation still outsold you. And in Europe, you got completely destroyed. And in Japan, you stand no chance. And you finally beat the Switch 1. Here it is, y'all. This is the first one. The Xbox beats the Switch 1. And oh, man, they actually got third place. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, still last place. But the Nintendo Switch 2, the funny thing is how certain people try to paint things with the Switch 2. You should see some of these posts. 390,000, almost sold 400,000 more than you have total sales here. Just in US alone. This is an insane month. They're literally helping the gaming industry significantly. You add this up and add this up, look at these sales together. They're pretty much selling more than both of these put together, damn near. So, but PlayStation still outsells you in every category. And that was everything you had. Before people figured out that showcase is actually a deception. And Forza is going to come to PlayStation. And Gears, by the time it comes out, your console is going to be a lot more expensive, up to $100, $150 more dollars. You see what I mean? You're not at the price that you're at now. That's going to go up. It's going to get worse. This was a temporary spike and a deception. But there's nothing wrong with seeing this move but this is not that impressive. Because if you look at PlayStation, they almost have 450,000 units here. You're trying to get to almost 200,000, but you can't. You see? Nintendo, that's like 400, 5, 6, 7, almost 800,000 sold. And this is before we get the total worldwide. Nintendo could end up being at 1 million here. Sony could end up being close to 500. Microsoft could hit 200. You're still getting more than doubled here. Nintendo's getting this and this. You see what I'm saying? They're going to sell more than you combined together, both. So the idea of the headline, like it's supposed to be something to celebrate when really you just gave it your all. It's like Nintendo coming out with Zelda, Mario, You know what I mean? And another huge title in the same year. You got Dustblood, that's happening too. You know what I mean? And then like that's the best they can get. That just shows you that there's not much hope for Xbox hardware. And ever since June has been done, July has been a disaster for Xbox. Along with all the layoffs. So much negative news followed after that showcase. You see what I'm saying? Plus the announcement of the price increases and everything. So Xbox fanboys are just being delusional. And then OJ down here says, here's some context. Xbox sales was a distant third place and the amount was relatively low. Sales ranking for June 2026, you got Nintendo hitting 350K plus. VG says almost 400,000. But he's just putting that there. PS5, Xbox Series. Switch 2 is still the second fastest selling video game console of all time, only behind another Nintendo console, Game Boy Advance. And most likely they sold about 23 million consoles in 1 year. The Switch 2 did. I think it hit 23 million or something around that. We're going to get the true number here soon, but it's somewhere around there. You see? Switch 2 was once again the best-selling hardware platform across both units and dollars for the month and 2026 year to date, with PlayStation 5 continuing to rank second across both measures and time periods, right? Folks talking about Forza, pending price increases, GTA, recent strategic shifts, some relative discounting that happened. Sure, throw all that in the mix too. But we are still talking about a relatively low base. Anyways, positive momentum is positive momentum. But they're talking about Xbox. And there was a little bit of discounts going on earlier during that time. So you had all that factored in to kind of have that solid US month, which is the territory of Xbox anyways. Nobody buys it in Europe and nobody buys it in Japan. It's like a ghost town there. And that's why that had to be put over this. Xbox sales more than doubled in June 2026 in the US, while PlayStation 5 and Switch 2 dropped, right? GameSpot had this post, and then you can go down here. Well, of course they would if nobody was buying them initially. It's not hard to get that number. You see what I'm saying? If you know that your hardware can't even outsell the Switch 1, then saying your price doubled is not that impressive. But only an Xbox fanboy would get happy about this, because like it's still pretty bad because you just gave it everything you got with that showcase and what's coming with that, and had a little bit of a sale discount on the website or whatever, and that's pretty much it. This guy says, because of the Sony getting rid of this, I actually got myself an Xbox and it's been great. Cool, if that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? So I guess making certain exclusive drives people to actually want to purchase your console. It was because Forza was there, along with other things like we said, but it's not going to move the needle anymore because these morons have jacked up the price even more since that happened that month. Remember, August 1st, $800. Series S, more expensive than PS5 digital. Yeah, right, good luck. Nobody's buying it. This is nothing. Wait till you see the numbers in July and definitely the numbers in August. It's going to be absolutely embarrassing. I'm telling you right now. Get ready for that because that's exactly what's going to happen. So we kind of get the idea of what's going on here, right? And then if we take a look at this right here, hardware, it says that 383 million in June 2026 hardware spending compares to 1 billion a year ago. That's how good the Switch 1 did when it launched that month and in general. The 289 million of June 2024 and June 2023 is 456 million. So when the Switch 2 launched, it went up 1 billion last year. That's how much damage Nintendo did on the market in a positive manner. So the hardware spending was 79% below compared to last year. Because last year you got 1 billion. People are looking at this the wrong way. It's like, dude, you launched your console that month. PlayStation 5 spending fell by only 19%, even after the price hike. And Xbox doubled, but it's been in negative for like years. So that's not that impressive. You see? And this is the truth that AGM wants to show people. So, but you're going to have Xbox fanboys like literally losing their mind because they believe that Xbox is now making a comeback or something because of that month. It's like, no, bro. You can start like going and taking a look at posts if you want to search stuff, and you'll pretty much see that. But James basically just said what he said right here. 86% increase in the US console sales revenue, but still dead last. At least Halo, Gears, and Forza pulled their weight for a little bit, but that's not really doing much. Of all platforms, Xbox is the only one to have grown year on year, but there's a big catch. Yeah, like if you try to say that without realizing that the Switch 2 is actually doing amazing, then you're going to be deceived by just reading that headline. That's why I like But There's a Catch by Eurogamer, because they're actually giving you a true introspection into things like, hold on, let me see what this means. Oh, you're still dead last place. Right? Well, if you go take a look at certain Xbox channels, they don't have a problem with Cody Eastwood, right? But he's supposed to push this, right? He says, wow, I was so wrong. Xbox Series consoles are up 86%, while PlayStation and Nintendo are down. A new shift due to Xbox game catalog exploding into growth and a promise of return to exclusive. Expect Fallout and Elder Scrolls to be exclusive from here on. Boy, I gotta tell you something, man. This right here is suicide if they do this. No. So he's making this seem like the Xbox is doing so good now, and PlayStation and Nintendo are doing bad. It's down. A new shift is going on. No, it's not. The prices are about to go up in about 8 days. What don't we understand about that? I have the Series S, but I'm thinking seriously getting the X. But this is an Xbox channel, right? I have no problem with the guy. To be fair, Xbox sales were way down. But this is hugely positive, of course. This will push them to make basically everything exclusive that they can, except the obvious. Your market is dead. Ever since that happened, you had a straight month of negative news, a price hike increase. Right? And then Sony drops the disc phenomenon. But Nintendo is still dominating. That is not enough to get somebody to say, oh, we're going to all go buy exclusives. So what if an extra 200,000 people go buy exclusives? What is that going to do to make up for $400 million, $500 million budgets? Like, you're thinking exclusive. It's like, no, your stuff is still on Steam. You don't have a true exclusive. You can't say you're playing the game of PlayStation and Nintendo. We've already talked about this. That's only in their worlds. You don't have anything like that on Xbox, and you can't do it. You need Steam. And then to say, oh, you know, we're going to be competing again with PlayStation and more Xbox consoles are going to start selling. No, they're not. It's barely going to move the needle. You're never going to be able to compete with PlayStation because in order to do that, you would need to have exclusives only in your world. Having them on Steam is not competing with PlayStation. That's not going to move the needle. Nobody's going to care. And I'm telling you right now, nobody's going to be buying Xbox exclusives on Xbox. They're still going to be going to Game Pass. They need to get rid of Game Pass day one. Right? This guy says they still finished third for the month, even though the other two were down. Big time. Or if someone actually used their brain, they'd realize last year was the Switch 2's record-breaking month launch, about 1.6 million in the US. There was nowhere to go but down, and that's making sense. And Xbox being up, maybe people are buying before Microsoft's price hike kicks in, along with the Forza Horizon 6 launch, the Xbox Game Showcase, and Xbox fanboys thinking exclusives are returning. You got a little spike coming in there with a little bit of a discount on the website. All that factored in, that was that month, but you still are getting destroyed worldwide by a mile. So we kind of get the idea of what's going on here. That right there is pretty much deceptive. We know what's going on by just taking a look at this again. We're going to end this right here. You didn't beat Sony in any category, and that was the best opportunity you pretty much had. You didn't. You're never going to do anything here. This is not going to really get much better. This is not going to ever get much better. You only have an opportunity to get that increase right here. And then you, like I said, you finally outsold the Switch 1. Congratulations. 9-year-old console going in its 10th year. But if you take a look at these numbers up here, it ain't no competition. And you're still not competing with PlayStation. I'm just saying, like, when you think about Sony, they still have big exclusives coming, plus GTA 6 marketing rights with the PS5 Pro. Wolverine's going to move units. They're going to have games that you can only get in their ecosystem. But you don't really have that. Everybody on PC is going to say, why would I go do that? Definitely if your PC is more powerful. It doesn't make any sense when you have the Xbox app on there. And I'm telling you, this is a problem that Microsoft has created. And there's nothing they can do to really get out of it because they can't take their games off of Steam. So at the end of the day, you finally had a solid month, but you're still third place. You're not fourth place anymore. Congratulations. Let me know what you guys think. Become a member. Leave a tip down below. Like, comment, subscribe. There's the truth. Later.